Subai, you're next, right? Is your opponent Shalei? During class, Yongju patted him on the shoulder and asked. The fight was now against the top 20, with each having to participate in 19 matches to determine the ranking. Subai had already gone through 17 matches, and because apart from Chen Roshue, no other student had a warlord pet, he used the little tyrant instead of the cub. He won all 17 matches without suspense. Be it Guodong's or Wang Er's pet, all had to bow down before the little tyrant's overwhelming strength. Only Su Bai and Chen Roshue remained undefeated. Chen Tingting competed in 15 matches and won 10. Yang Ju barely made it to the top 20 and had yet to win a game. What's the problem? Su Bai glanced sideways at Yang Ju. Beat him harshly in place of me. That guy not only mocked but also abused me, and Jiang Yang, growled the boy in anger. Exactly, his strength isn't even worth mentioning, yet he likes pretending to be strong in front of us. Just because we scolded him a bit, he deliberately abused us in our fights. Jiang Yang, who was also furious, gritted his teeth. What a B***st* road, but you guys must fight back yourselves regarding such a thing. I won't help you. Su Bai looked indifferent. He did not want to bother with people like Shalei. Brother Su tilde Jiang Yang changed his voice into a high-pitched girly voice. F***ck off. Do you believe I'll hit you? He glared at the other, unable to bear it. Sister Roshue, help us. Tilde Jiang Yang turned to Chen Roshue. What can I do? I already had my match with him. You guys can only work hard to get back at him. She shrugged. Wow, you two are so heartless. Yongju was about to go crazy, no one gave a hoot about them. In the math class, the teacher came in and shouted, Shalei, Su Bai, come out. It's you two's turn. Shalei got up and glanced at Su Bai before walking out. Su Bai also stood up and walked out. As for his two pets, they were still sleeping in his contract book. The math and Chinese classes in the morning were too esoteric for them to understand. They reached the battlefield in the court and stood 15 meters apart. Su Bai focused his mind and summoned the silver contract book. The emerald green pages opened, and his little tyrant appeared on the ground in a flash of light. It yawned and looked up at him. Roar! Was it lunchtime? No, it's time to fight. Remember to be a little crueler this time. He meaningfully looked at it. Roar tilde the little tyrant looked at the humanoid little rock monster opposite it and nodded. The teacher at the side confirmed that they were ready and nodded. It's time to start. Right away, the little rock monster charged forward. Without waiting for Su Bai's command, the little tyrant jumped to the side and dodged the hit. The opposing monster condensed a dim yellow energy ball and smashed the little tyrant with it. Roar tilde the little tyrant, meanwhile, condensed several fist-size fireballs in its mouth and also smashed its opponent with them. Shalei could not help but laugh at the sight of the fist-size fireballs. Are you kidding me, or are you just looking down on me? As soon as his words fell, 3 fireballs collided with the little rock monster's yellow energy ball. Following a loud explosion, a huge fireball with a 10-meter diameter burst apart. Bits of earth and debris flew everywhere, the airwave tearing a small tree at the side. It was as if several gas tanks had exploded together. F***ck. Shalei exclaimed in shock, but before he spoke further, the airwaves blew him and the teacher away. He simply did not have time to react. Only Su Bai had shielded himself from the blast in advance. Little tyrant, enough, he hurriedly yelled. He only asked it to be a little crueler, not blow up the whole school. Roar. His pet opened its mouth to suck the flames back, leaving only a large crater, with the little rock monster lying at the bottom of it, severely injured and half-beaten to death. Su Bai wins. Tang Yang announced and glared at him. Were you trying to blow up the school? Sorry. He quickly apologized. Forget it. Go back first. Tang Yang glanced at the boy, speechless. Su Bai took his pet back. As for Shalei, he was still lying on the ground in a sluggish state. He still could not figure out why the 3 fireballs could generate such a terrifying explosion. Moreover, how had that pet's strength grown so fast? The little rock monster was obviously close to the warlord rank but had been defeated by fireball in a second. Get up. Are you injured? Teng Yang walked over and asked. He summoned his flower fairy to heal the little rock monster. No, I just don't understand why he's so strong, replied Shalei grudgingly. Sigh. Just put more effort in your pet. Teng Yang sighed. The two youths were no longer on the same level. How could this boy's pet compare to Su Bai's when the little tyrant's cultivation was not even good? Your match is over. When Su Bai returned in less than 10 minutes, Yang Ju looked at him in shock. Excluding the time they took to get to the court, the entire game had probably only lasted 3 minutes at most. Otherwise, how long did you think it would take? Su Bai stared at his friend and sat back in his seat to listen to the class. Who was he kidding? He had spent so much money cultivating his pet, would it not be worthless if it was not strong? Let's work harder. That kid is abnormal, said Jiang Yang with a sigh. Yang Ju also remembered the fact their pets, which had been promoted to high-level servants, were defeated in seconds 3 days ago. The morning passed quickly, and the top 20 matches were almost done. Halfway through the first class in the afternoon, a teacher came to the door of the classroom and shouted, Su Bai and Chen Ruoxue, come out, it's you two's turn. The rest of the class also looked over curiously. This was a battle between the immortals. The only actual pet tamers in their entire grade not only had silver contract books but also warlord pets. Moreover, these two were an enviable couple, so many of them wanted to go out and watch their battle. In fact, the school was also very helpless. Their original intention was to make the first and second classes compete, but the reality was that in the second class, except for Wang everyone was completely dominated by the first class. Therefore, the hope of the school for next year's college entrance examination was now placed on the first class and on this couple. However, the school could not call them out for dating, since they never behaved intimately inside the campus, nor did they declare their relationship. They could only turn a blind eye and pretend that there was nothing. After all, the two were abnormally strong individuals. Su Bai and Chen Ruoxue stood facing each other while smiling. When the two went out, their classmates wanted to see them. Teacher, can we go out and watch their fight? Someone asked. This class was taught by their head teacher Wang Wenyi, and it was about the theory of pet battles. She glanced at the students and knew that their minds were not in her class, so she nodded and said, let's go, I'll take you to look, but when you come back, everyone must write 500 words for their reflection. The other students stopped moving as soon as she said this. You can attend class, too, but you'll have to write about 2,000 words for homework. Wang Wenyi smiled slightly. The eyes of the commander pet behind her also flashed with blue light. All the students rushed out at once. When the classmates came to the court, Su Bai and Chen Ruoxue were almost ready. Teng Yang glanced at the others and shouted, move farther away. After driving them away, he announced, the battle begins. Xiao Bai, just use your regular routines. Chen Ruoxue glanced at her boyfriend. This guy had both pets out and really was not sparing any affection. Su Bai glanced at his girlfriend as he exchanged a telepathic message with his two pets. Purple Jade, expand Thorn's domain. Little Tyrant, don't open any domain. Cooperate with each other and pay attention to your shadows. As long as Big Demon attacks one of you, don't show any mercy and just fight with all you've got. Hee hee. On the opposite side, Big Demon laughed creepily and raised its hands to form 2 energy balls. Howl. Carrot, the cub's Thorn's domain blanketed the huge field for 30 meters. The thick vines formed a tough wooden shield to resist attacks. Roar. The little tyrant condensed 2 fireballs in its claws, which it smashed toward the sky. With a bang, a conflagration of 7 or 8 meters exploded in the sky. The 2 energy balls from Big Demon were completely countered by the cub. F***CK, is that the primary skill, fireball? The jaws of this group of students watching dropped in astonishment. Why was the fireball skill supposed to be this terrifying? That 30-meter domain was also amazing. Were they pumped with steroids? They were deeply shocked by Su Bai. Is Big Demon going to be defeated? Someone could not help voicing this question. Here. Xiao Bai suddenly laughed again, and a huge ghost shadow appeared behind the cub. At this moment, the little tyrant turned its head without hesitation and smashed it with a fireball. With a bang, that fireball exploded. Although the cub was burned a little, it quickly recovered. Big Demon disappeared again. Soon, a wave of spiritual power spread from the little tyrant's shadow, and a ghostly energy ball flew out. At the same time, continuous bursts of energy smashed into the little tyrant's shadows. Bang, bang, bang. The ground was directly hit and formed a 2-meter crater. The little tyrant was hit by the shadow energy ball, but its skin was so thick, and the condensed energy ball only touched it for a short while, so it only suffered minor injuries. Soon, green spiritual power gathered on its body, and its injury gradually healed. Roar tilde, it roared angrily in the air. The teacher at the side nodded involuntarily as he watched the battle. This was a fight with very leveled strength. The students watched with shocked expressions. Why do I suddenly feel like I don't understand it? They're too powerful, way more powerful than us. The power behind their skills is so terrifying. It's not obvious when there's no comparison. I suspect that my little conch would be killed in a second if it were to enter, said Yangju in shock. Without doubt, you won't even last for a second. Jiang Yang corrected him. He became speechless. What don't you understand? Subai is bound to win. If he only had one pet, Chen Roshua would win, explained Chen Tingting. Shalei was also speechless for a moment. He naturally understood it but had just expected the strength of these two to be so terrifying. No wonder his little rock monster could not withstand the little tyrant's blow. After fighting for a while, Chen Roshua finally could not resist saying, "If you have the ability, why don't you fight me with only one pet? It's unfair like this. Then don't use hidden shadow." Subai chuckled. "Fine. It's you who forced me. Xiaobai, use shadow curse," spat Chen Roshua viciously. Purple Jade, wood spirit replacement, little tyrant, you're free to play. Subai also ordered. Hie. Big Demon sang in the air and quickly condensed 2 curses meant for the 2 pets. Without dodging, the little tyrant directly formed 3 fireballs and smashed them over. Just as a 10-meter conflagration exploded, it was hit by the shadow curse. However, the shadow did not come alive, and everything seemed normal. As for the cub, it changed position using the wood spirit replacement, directly letting the curse fall to an empty spot. How could this be? The shadow curse obviously hit the target. Chen Roshua felt incredulous. It's useless. Your pet hasn't fully familiarized himself with the shadow curse's usage. Subai smiled. The little tyrant was an undead pet and could not be affected by any curse. Don't hide Purple Jade if you have the ability, Chen Roshua glared at her boyfriend. Half an hour later, Teng Yang announced, Subai wins. In the end, Subai's pets won with plenty of spiritual power. Big Demon, meanwhile, had exhausted its spiritual power and suffered semi-serious injuries. The cub's wood spirit replacement was too flexible, and the little tyrant was completely unaffected by its curse, so Big Demon could not defeat them both. The exhaustion recovery technique is really terrifying. Xiao Bai was almost exhausted to death. Shouldn't we be concerned with how ruthless Subai is? He didn't even go easy on his girlfriend. We might have to kneel down to him. I don't understand the world of the strong, his strength is too abnormal. Everyone now had a deep understanding of how strong the two were. If they had to fight against any of the two, they would not even last a second. Chen Ruoshua took back her pet, who had almost healed, and glanced at her boyfriend with a smile. How was it? Was I fierce? Subai walked over and asked. TSK. That was such a shameless move. I could have blown you up if I had a second pet. Chen Roshua tut-tutted and laughed. So what if you won? The money is still mine, anyway. Subai. Yes, why had he fought so hard then? He felt like he had lost a lot of money. Seeing the two still talking and laughing, the others were shocked. This scene was different from how they imagined. Should the girl not be crying and the boy be chasing after her? 2 days later, the money was transferred. Here, I'll pay the 50,000 yuan next time. Subai put the card in his girlfriend's hand. Must you divide money with me so strictly? Chen Roshua glared at him. She had not expected that he would really pay back the 300,000 yuan he owed her. Just put it in safekeeping for me. Subai shrugged. Anyway, she always treated him to meals. All right, I'll hold on to this for you. Chen Roshue smiled and put the card into her small bag.